You've probably never noticed the person who truly controls your conversations, and it's almost never the loudest one. Picture a meeting where one guy dominates the airtime, but decisions always echo what the quiet woman next to him suggested earlier. If you think charisma means control, you're missing the real levers of influence. Here's the twist. The psychological playbook of conversational control isn't about dominating or dazzling. It's about invisible moves, tiny cues, tactical silences, the right kind of pushback at the right second. And the people who master these levers leave almost no fingerprints. Why does this matter? Because the real controller shapes what you think without you realizing it. By the end, you'll spot the hidden rules running every group and start bending them yourself. But to see the code, you first need to spot the biggest red herring in human behavior. Most people think conversational control means talking the most or having the wittiest comeback. But research on power and status shows the real controllers often say less, not more. Take Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. In oral arguments, she asked the fewest questions, but her phrasing quietly set the agenda. The secret? Guiding the topic, not grabbing the spotlight. This is called conversational framing. Whoever frames the question frames the outcome. Example. You ask, should we improve speed or quality? Suddenly, everyone's debating your options, your frame, your rules. The weird part is, people rarely notice who first set the boundaries. They just argue inside them. But that's just the first lever. The second, micro-validations, tiny cues that endorse or reject ideas without a word. Think of the manager who rewards a suggestion with a simple nod. It's not dramatic, but the group unconsciously pivots their energy. Micro-validations stack up. Over time, they quietly select who rises and who fades in every group. The kicker, people copy the behavior that gets these signals, even if they can't explain why. So if you want control, start by micro-validating the moves you want the group to repeat. But what if someone tries to bulldoze the discussion, talking over, steamrolling, pushing their agenda? Here's what most get wrong. They try to outshout the bully. That almost never works. Instead, controllers use tactical silences. They pause, look at the group, and let the awkwardness shift power. A well-timed silence is like a psychological speed bump. It makes everyone question the bulldozer. The real effect? The group starts to self-regulate, pulling the bully back in line. No confrontation, no drama, just gravity pulling back to center. Now, you might wonder, does this work on everyone? Not quite. There's one type immune to subtlety, the true narcissist. Their conversational control is brute force, not finesse. But here's the catch. The group often adapts by quietly ignoring or isolating them over time. So, the sustainable controllers are the ones who read the room and nudge, not shove. But what if you want to upend the conversation entirely? Enter the disruptor move, the pointed question. By asking a question that reframes the topic, you can shift the group's focus without raising your voice. It's the classic Socratic trick. Socrates rarely argued, he just asked questions that made others reveal their assumptions. In modern meetings, the person who asks the right question often ends up steering the whole outcome. But there's a hidden risk. If your question is too aggressive, you can trigger defensiveness and lose influence. The pros soften their questions with curiosity, not accusation. How did we decide that? Lands better than who messed up. The difference is subtle, but it's the difference between opening minds and shutting them down. Let's zoom out. Why do these tactics work so well, even when we don't consciously notice them? It turns out, humans are wired to follow social energy, not just words. We're constantly scanning for micro-signals. Who the group validates, who gets the silent nod, whose questions shape the agenda. Most of these signals are processed below awareness, our brains shortcut to follow the current. But here's the kicker. Once you know what to look for, you can break the spell. Next time you're in a group, watch not who talks most, but who sets the topic, who gets the nods, who asks the pivotal questions. But don't just watch, experiment. Try a micro-validation. Try a tactical silence. Watch how the air shifts. If you're interrupted, don't rush to fill space. Let silence do the heavy lifting. If someone's dominating, reframe with a question. See if you can redirect the current. But here's the advanced move. Combine subtle framing, micro-validation, and tactical silence in a single conversation. It's like controlling the weather in the room without anyone seeing the levers. Most people never master this because our instincts push us to talk more, not less. But the people who do, they end up running the room quietly. Let's test the loop you've been following all video. Who really controlled this explanation? The voice or the ideas it nudged you to notice? In the end, conversational control is less about volume, more about structure, less about charisma, more about framing. It's not about dominating people. It's about quietly shaping what matters. Spot these tactics, and you'll never look at a group the same way again. And if you want to see how these invisible tactics play out in real conflict, you'll want our next video on the psychology of subtle sabotage. But wait, let's drill deeper. How exactly does conversational framing hijack group decisions at scale? In one famous experiment, researchers had groups answer the same question, but with a twist in phrasing. One group debated, should we ban dangerous books? The other, should we protect freedom of expression? The frame alone flipped the majority's answer, even though the underlying issue was the same. That's the power of framing. It doesn't just guide discussion, it reshapes what's even possible to decide. You'll see this leveraged in politics, marketing, even friend groups. Whoever names the choices wins half the battle. Ever hear a friend say, "Are you coming to the party, or do you want to stay home and be bored?" That's framing, weaponized for fun. The irony? The group will defend the frame, convinced it was their own idea. So next time you hear a question, ask yourself, who really benefits from these options? Now, let's expose a third lever, the art of selective echoing. This move is so subtle, most never catch it. Repeat or reinforce the idea you want to take root, and watch as it becomes common sense. Research in organizational psychology shows that when an idea is echoed by just one other person, its perceived legitimacy skyrockets. Controllers use selective echoing to quietly boost allies or undermine rivals. Ever notice how some people's ideas get repeated and others fade instantly? That's no accident. Try this. Next time you want an idea to stick, repeat it with a twist. Building on what Alex said, what if we? The twist makes you look generous while quietly steering the group's direction. But beware. Over-echoing looks like flattery, and people tune out. The real trick is subtlety. The best controllers echo only what they want to grow. Now, let's turn the lens. What's the cost of not noticing these invisible moves? Studies at MIT found that teams who missed micro-cues like framing or validation performed 20% worse on problem-solving tasks. Not spotting who's steering means you're at the mercy of anyone who is. That can mean lost promotions, bad group decisions, or feeling powerless in your own life. On the flip side, if you spot these levers and act with intention, you can shift outcomes without anyone ever noticing your hand. It's not magic, it's mastery of the invisible. So, next time you feel powerless, remember, the most influential person in the room is rarely the one everyone's watching. It's the one guiding the current, one nudge, one silence, one echo at a time. And the best part? You can start today with just one move. Here's a challenge. In your next group setting, pick one lever, framing, validation, or echoing, and deploy it. Watch what shifts. If you spot someone else playing these games, smile. You're now fluent in the secret language of control. And if you want to level up, start stacking levers, combine framing with silence, or echoing with a validating nod. You'll feel the difference. The room bends, even as you blend in. Just remember, real influence isn't about trickery. It's about reading the room and helping the best ideas win. Because when you control the conversation, you shape the reality everyone else inhabits. And if you're wondering, yes, you've already felt this magic. Every time you left a meeting thinking, wait, how did we end up here? Now you know. And the next move? That's up to you. If you want a field test, try this. In a group chat, drop a casual question that reframes the topic. Watch how the whole thread pivots. Or spot the next micro-validation. Who gets the haha react? Who gets silence? Patterns reveal themselves. Every group is a game board. Invisible pieces, secret moves. Ready to play? Now you've unlocked the cheat codes. But with great power comes, well, responsibility, sure, but also a lot more fun. Whether you use these moves for good, for mischief, or for the next office snack debate, you're no longer just a pawn. Congratulations, you're now a conversational controller. And if you want to see this play out in the wild, the next video is where the real battles begin. Until then, keep your moves quiet and your influence loud. And remember, in every room, someone's setting the rules. It might as well be you. Thanks for watching and for playing the real game behind every conversation. And if you caught every lever we just used on you, maybe you're already one move ahead. See you next time, controller.